Stop what you are doing for a moment, because if you are over the age of 50, there is something important you need to hear right now. Something that might completely change how you think about protecting your body. Most people believe they already know what it takes to prevent serious diseases. Eat less sugar, walk more, take your medications, follow your routine checkups. But here's the uncomfortable truth. That advice, while helpful, is incomplete. There are specific foods sitting quietly on ordinary supermarket shelves that have been studied by leading cancer researchers across the world. Foods that have shown powerful effects on how your body defends itself at the cellular level. And yet, most people never hear about them. Not because doctors are hiding anything, but because modern medicine often does not have the time to explain what food can actually do inside your body. Your appointment lasts minutes, but the science behind nutrition takes years to unfold. Today, we are going deeper. I want to share something that truly opened my eyes. A long-term research project conducted by scientists from one of the most respected medical institutions followed tens of thousands of adults over 50 for many years. They were not testing a drug. They were not testing a treatment. They were observing everyday eating habits. And what they discovered was not small. People who consistently consumed certain plant-based compounds showed dramatically lower rates of common cancers compared to those who did not. This was not a slight difference. This was a powerful signal. And it raises an important question. What if the difference between risk and protection is not something complicated or expensive, but something already sitting in your kitchen? Now, listen carefully, because one of the foods we will discuss today is something you may already eat regularly. But there is a mistake in how most people prepare it. A simple mistake that removes most of its protective power. When you understand this, it will change the way you cook forever. Before we go further, I want to ask you something personal. Take a moment and think about your own life, your age, your health, your family. Have you or someone you care about ever been affected by cancer? Hold that thought, because what we are about to go through is not just information. It is something you can act on. We are going to count down 5 powerful foods, starting from strong and moving towards something truly extraordinary. Every single one of them is simple, affordable, accessible. Let us begin. Number 5. And this one surprises almost everyone. We are talking about black beans. Not flashy, not trendy, not something you see promoted as a miracle food. But quietly, in the world of scientific research, black beans have been gaining serious attention. Researchers studying colon health discovered that compounds found in black beans can significantly slow down the growth of cancer-related cells under controlled conditions. Now, think about that for a moment. A food that many people overlook is actually interacting with the very environment where one of the most common cancers develops. How does this happen? Inside black beans, there is something called resistant starch. Unlike regular carbohydrates that quickly turn into sugar in your body, resistant starch behaves differently. It travels through your digestive system without being broken down immediately. When it reaches your colon, something remarkable happens. Your gut bacteria begin to feed on it, and in that process, they produce special compounds that help maintain the health of your intestinal lining. One of these compounds acts like a signal. It tells damaged or abnormal cells to stop growing. Your body already has built-in systems designed to protect you. The problem is, as we age, those systems become less efficient. The lining of the gut becomes weaker, inflammation slowly increases, and this creates an environment where harmful cells can thrive more easily. This is where black beans make a difference. They do not act like a drug. They support your body's own defense mechanisms. They strengthen the environment. And when the environment changes, everything changes. Let me share a story. There was a woman in her late 60s who attended a health seminar. She had spent years worrying about her risk because of her family history. Her mother had faced serious illness. So had her aunt. She felt like it was only a matter of time. But instead of giving in to fear, she made small, consistent changes. One of those changes was adding black beans into her meals several times each week. Soups, simple dishes, nothing complicated. Months later, during a routine medical check, her doctor noticed something interesting. Her overall colon health appeared significantly better than expected for her age. Now, this is not magic. It is not a guarantee, but it is a reminder. Small daily habits can lead to meaningful changes. And here is something important about preparation. Whole dried beans that are soaked and cooked properly tend to retain more of their beneficial compounds compared to heavily processed versions. But even if you choose convenience, there is still value. Rinse them well. Combine them with healthy fats when cooking, because certain nutrients are absorbed more effectively when paired with fat. Simple adjustments, real impact. Now, let us move forward. Number 4. This is something many people already enjoy, often without realizing its deeper potential. We are talking about walnuts. At first glance, they seem like just another snack, but inside them is a powerful combination of nutrients that work together in a way that researchers find incredibly interesting. Studies have shown that regular consumption of walnuts may influence biological pathways connected to how cancer spreads in the body. Not just one type, multiple types: breast, prostate, lung. So what makes walnuts special? There are 3 key elements working together. First, they contain a specific type of healthy fat that helps reduce inflammation. Now, inflammation might sound harmless, but chronic inflammation is like a slow-burning fire inside your body, and that kind of environment allows harmful cells to grow more easily. Walnuts help calm that fire. Second, they contain natural compounds that interfere with how tumors develop their blood supply. Because for a tumor to grow, it needs nutrients. It needs oxygen. It needs access. If that supply is disrupted, growth becomes much more difficult. Third, walnuts naturally contain a compound that supports your body's internal repair processes, especially during rest. As we get older, our bodies produce fewer protective molecules on their own. Cells become more vulnerable. Energy production slows down. Damage accumulates. Walnuts help fill in that gap. They provide support where your body is starting to lose efficiency. But there is something many people do not realize. How you eat them matters. High heat can reduce some of the most sensitive nutrients. Keeping them as natural as possible helps preserve their benefits. And when paired with certain other foods, their effect may become even stronger. There is growing evidence that combining walnuts with foods rich in natural plant compounds creates a kind of synergy, meaning the combined effect is greater than each food alone. Again, simple choices, but powerful when repeated over time. Now pause for a moment, because what we are building here is not a list. It is a pattern. Foods that support your body from the inside. Foods that work with your biology, not against it. And we are just getting started. Coming up next is something even more overlooked, a food that many people ignore completely. Yet it contains compounds that directly support your immune system at a stage in life where your natural defenses begin to weaken. And this is where things start to get truly interesting. Now, let us continue. Number 3. This is something small, often ignored, and yet incredibly powerful when you understand what is happening beneath the surface. We are talking about pumpkin, and more importantly, the seeds inside it. Most people think of pumpkin as something seasonal, something that appears briefly and then disappears from attention. But inside this simple food lies a combination of nutrients that interact directly with some of the most important systems in your body. Let us start with the visible part. The bright orange flesh of pumpkin contains compounds that your body converts into vitamin A. These compounds play a role in maintaining healthy cells and supporting your body's ability to repair itself. But the real story begins with the seeds. Pumpkin seeds contain natural plant compounds that your body transforms into substances capable of interacting with hormone-related processes. This matters more than most people realize because certain types of cancer are influenced by hormonal balance. And as we age, that balance begins to shift. Now here is where it becomes even more important for older adults. Your immune system is not the same as it was when you were younger. There is a gradual decline, a slowing down. Scientists refer to this process as the aging of the immune system. Normally, your immune system acts like a surveillance system. It constantly scans your body, identifying and removing abnormal cells before they become a problem. But over time, that system becomes less efficient. Small issues that would have been handled quickly in your younger years may begin to slip through unnoticed. This is where pumpkin seeds step in. They are rich in a mineral that is absolutely essential for immune function. This mineral supports the activity of specific immune cells that act as your body's first line of defense. When levels of this mineral are low, your immune response weakens. When levels are restored, that surveillance system becomes stronger again. It is not about creating something new. It is about restoring what your body already knows how to do. Now think about how simple this is. A handful of seeds, something you can add to your daily routine without effort. But over time, that small habit reinforces one of your most important defense systems. Preparation matters here as well. Gentle heating can help preserve the delicate compounds inside the seeds. Excessive heat, on the other hand, can reduce their effectiveness. And there is an important pairing that many people overlook. When consumed alongside foods rich in certain vitamins, the absorption of key minerals improves significantly, meaning your body actually receives more of what it needs from the same amount of food. This is not about eating more. It is about absorbing better. Now, let me share something that might change how you see this. There was a man in his early 70s who had begun to feel that his body was slowly declining. Less energy, slower recovery, more frequent concerns during medical visits. He did not make drastic changes. He focused on small, consistent adjustments. One of them was adding nutrient-dense foods like seeds into his daily meals. Over time, something shifted. Not overnight, not dramatically, but steadily. His energy improved. His confidence returned. And during his follow-up visits, his doctor noted that several of his markers had stabilized. Again, this is not a miracle. It is a pattern. Small inputs, repeated daily, leading to meaningful outcomes. Now we move to something even more familiar. Number 2. And this is where most people are making a critical mistake without even realizing it. We are talking about broccoli. You have probably heard that broccoli is healthy, but what you may not know is that how you prepare it determines whether you receive its most powerful benefits or almost none of them. Inside broccoli, there is a natural compound that has been widely studied for its ability to support your body's internal defense systems. But here is the catch. This compound does not exist in its active form right away. It needs to be created. Inside the broccoli are 2 separate components. When these components come together, they form the active compound that supports your body's protective processes. But this only happens under the right conditions. When you cut or chew raw broccoli, these components interact and begin forming the beneficial compound. However, when broccoli is exposed to high heat too quickly, this process is disrupted. The enzyme responsible for activating the compound is damaged. And what happens then? You still eat the broccoli. You still feel like you made a healthy choice, but your body receives only a fraction of the benefit. This is where a simple technique changes everything. Before cooking, chop the broccoli and let it rest for a period of time. During this time, the activation process begins naturally. By the time heat is applied, the beneficial compound has already formed and remains available for your body to use. Such a small step, but it can significantly increase the effectiveness of the food you are already eating. Now, let us talk about why this matters even more as we age. Inside your body, there are cells that stop functioning properly over time. They no longer divide. They no longer contribute. But they do not disappear either. Instead, they release substances that create a harmful environment for surrounding cells. This environment promotes inflammation and weakens tissue health. The compound formed in properly prepared broccoli has been shown to support the removal of these dysfunctional cells. Think of it as a cleanup process, a way to restore balance inside your body. This is especially important later in life, when the accumulation of these cells becomes more significant. Let me share another story. There was a retired professional in his early 70s who had been monitoring certain health markers for years. He felt like he had little control, like everything depended on what might happen next. But when he learned about simple dietary changes, including how to prepare foods like broccoli correctly, he decided to try. Not perfectly, not obsessively, just consistently. Over time, his results began to shift. Slowly at first, then more noticeably. His sense of control returned, and that feeling alone made a difference in how he approached his health. Because when you feel that your actions matter, you begin to act differently. Now, here is something important. Adding a small amount of certain spices or seeds after cooking can help restore any lost activity from heat. This creates a second chance for that beneficial compound to form. Again, simple, but powerful. Now, pause here, because what we are about to discuss next is the most important part of this entire conversation. The number 1 food, the one that stands above the rest. Not because it is rare, but because the evidence supporting it is consistent across multiple studies, across different populations, and across various types of health concerns. And here is the surprising part. Most people already have access to it. They just do not use it in the way that truly makes a difference. Now we arrive at number 1. And this may surprise you, because the most powerful food on this list is not exotic. It is not expensive. It is not something you need to search for. It is something you have seen your entire life. We are talking about tomatoes, but not just any tomatoes, cooked tomatoes. Because inside them is a compound that has been studied again and again for its ability to support your body at the deepest level. This compound is responsible for the rich red color of tomatoes, and it acts as one of the most effective protective agents found in everyday food. What makes it truly remarkable is how your body absorbs it. Unlike many nutrients that lose strength when exposed to heat, this compound becomes more available. Cooking breaks down the structure of the tomato, releasing this compound in a form your body can absorb far more efficiently. This means that certain tomato-based foods can actually deliver more benefit than raw tomatoes. Think about that. Something as simple as a warm sauce can be more powerful than eating it fresh. Now let us understand why this matters. Inside your body, there are signals that control how cells grow. As we age, some of these signals become overactive. They encourage cells to grow and multiply more than they should. This is where problems begin. The compound found in cooked tomatoes has been shown to help regulate these signals. It acts like a balancing force, not stopping your body from functioning, but guiding it back towards stability. There is another important aspect. Inside each of your cells are tiny structures responsible for producing energy. Over time, these structures become less efficient and more vulnerable to damage. This damage accumulates slowly, and it affects how your cells function. The compound in tomatoes has shown the ability to protect these structures, especially in older individuals, meaning it targets one of the key areas where aging has the greatest impact. Now, here is something that many people overlook. This compound requires fat to be absorbed properly. Without fat, much of it passes through your system without being used. So, when tomatoes are cooked together with healthy fats, something powerful happens. Absorption increases dramatically. Your body finally receives the full benefit. This is not a new discovery. Traditional cooking methods have combined these ingredients for generations, and now modern research is beginning to explain why. Food culture and science arriving at the same conclusion. Now, imagine this: simple meals, familiar ingredients, prepared in a slightly different way. And yet, inside your body, entirely different processes begin to take place. This is the power of understanding, not just what you eat, but how you eat it. Now, take a step back and look at what we have covered. 5 foods: black beans, walnuts, pumpkin and its seeds, broccoli prepared correctly, and cooked tomatoes with healthy fat. Each one supports a different system: your gut, your immune response, your cellular repair processes, your internal defense mechanisms. Individually, they are helpful, but together they form a powerful pattern, a way of eating that aligns with how your body is designed to protect itself. And here is something I want you to hear clearly. If you are in your 60s, your 70s, or even beyond, it is not too late. Your body is still responsive. It is still adapting. It is still capable of change. Research continues to show that even later in life, consistent dietary changes can influence important health markers. Not instantly, but steadily, within weeks, within months. Your body begins to respond. And this is where hope becomes action. Because you are not relying on something outside of your control. You are participating. You are choosing. Every meal becomes an opportunity. Now, I want to speak to you directly. You may have spent years believing that your path was already set, that your health was simply a result of age or genetics. But that is not the full story. Your daily choices still matter, and they always will. This is not about perfection. It is about consistency. Small actions repeated over time. That is where real change happens. So here is a simple question for you. Which of these foods will you begin adding into your routine first? And more importantly, what is one small change you can start today? Take that step, because your future self is built from what you do now. And you deserve a life that is not just longer, but stronger, more energetic, more present, more yours. Thank you for spending this time here. And remember, the most powerful changes often begin with the simplest choices. I will see you in the next conversation.